Captain Daeho Kim stood on the observation deck of New Busan Colony, watching the alien ships appear in the sky like dark clouds before a storm. The massive vessels blocked out the twin suns of Kepler 442b, casting long shadows across the farming districts where families had been working just hours before. "Sir, we count 47 ships in their formation," Lieutenant Woo Jin Lee reported from the communication station. His young face was calm, but Kim could see the tension in his shoulders. "They're requesting immediate surrender," Kim nodded slowly. He had expected this day for 3 years, ever since the first reports came in about the Vorthak Confederation destroying human outposts in the Outer Rim. The aliens had been testing human responses, learning their patterns, and now they felt ready to take what they wanted. Dr. Hee-Jin Park walked into the command center, her lab coat still dusty from her research work. She had been studying alien psychology since first contact, and her reports had warned about this exact situation. "The Vorthak see us as weak," she said quietly. "Their battle records show they've conquered 17 different species in the last 50 years. They always follow the same pattern." "What pattern?" asked Sergeant Bo Ra Choi, who had been organizing the colony's defense teams. Her Marine training made her stand straight even in the face of impossible odds. "They arrive with overwhelming force, demand immediate surrender, then expect quick victory when refused," Dr. Park explained. "Their tactical computers show humans as primitive fighters who won wars through luck rather than skill. They think we'll break easily under pressure." Kim walked to the main display screen showing the alien fleet. Each ship was 3 times larger than anything the colony possessed. The aliens had plasma weapons, energy shields, and technology that made human equipment look like ancient artifacts. By every logical measure, New Busan should surrender immediately. "How long do we have?" Kim asked. 72 hours, Lee replied. "Standard Vorthak ultimatum timing." Kim smiled grimly. The aliens thought they were being generous with 3 days. They expected the humans to spend that time in panic and despair, begging for mercy by the deadline. They had studied human conflicts and decided that humans only fought when they had superior numbers or technology. Without those advantages, humans would surely give up. "Sergeant Choi, activate Protocol Ragnarok," Kim ordered. The Marine sergeant's eyes widened slightly. Every colonial military officer knew about Protocol Ragnarok, but most hoped they would never need to use it. The protocol had been designed by Earth's best military minds after studying every major human victory against impossible odds throughout history. "Sir, are you certain?" Choi asked. "Once we activate the protocol, there's no going back." "I'm certain," Kim replied. "Dr. Park, I need you to begin psychological operations immediately. Lieutenant Lee, start broadcasting our response to the alien fleet." As the command staff began their preparations, Kim thought about the choice before them. The aliens expected surrender or quick defeat. They had never encountered humans who understood that sometimes the only way to win was to refuse to lose, no matter the cost. Dr. Park began her work by accessing the colony's historical database. She pulled up records of every major human military victory, where smaller forces had defeated larger ones. Alexander the Great at Gaugamela, Admiral Yi Sun-sin at Myeongnyang, Hannibal crossing the Alps, the Battle of Thermopylae. Hundreds of examples where humans had turned impossible situations into legendary victories. "The aliens monitor all our communications," she explained to the others. "They'll intercept everything we broadcast. I want them to hear exactly what kind of species they're dealing with." She began transmitting detailed accounts of human warfare throughout history. Not propaganda or threats, but simple factual records of how humans fought when cornered. She included tactical analyses, strategic discussions, and most importantly, recordings of human soldiers explaining why they never surrendered even when facing certain death. Meanwhile, Sergeant Choi was implementing the defensive preparations that Protocol Ragnarok required. The colony had been built with hidden military capabilities from the beginning. Farming equipment that could become artillery, mining tunnels that connected into a defensive network, civilian ships with concealed weapon systems. "The colonists are asking questions," Choi reported. "They want to know if we're really going to fight." "Tell them the truth," Kim replied. "We're not just going to fight. We're going to show the galaxy what happens when someone threatens human families." Lieutenant Lee was monitoring alien communications, using translation software to understand their conversations. The alien crews were confident and relaxed, discussing how quickly they expected the battle to end. They talked about dividing up the colony's resources and selling the human survivors as slaves. "Sir, they're laughing at our historical broadcasts," Lee reported. "They think we're sharing primitive mythology." Dr. Park smiled coldly. "Perfect. Let them think our greatest military minds were just telling stories. They'll understand the difference between mythology and reality soon enough." As the first day passed, the colony transformed. Citizens who had seemed like simple farmers and miners revealed military backgrounds. Equipment that looked peaceful showed hidden weapons. The entire settlement reorganized itself into a fortress designed around principles the aliens couldn't understand. The Vorthak had studied human technology and found it inferior. They had analyzed human tactics and found them chaotic. They had reviewed human psychology and decided humans were weak individualists who couldn't work together under pressure. Every calculation showed easy victory. What they hadn't understood was that humans had been preparing for this exact scenario since they first left Earth. Every colony was positioned strategically. Every colonist understood that they might need to hold the line against impossible odds. Every piece of equipment had dual purposes. On the second day, the alien commander sent another message demanding surrender. The response came from Captain Kim personally. "We decline your generous offer. However, we'd like to make you an offer in return. Leave now, and we'll let you tell your people that you were smart enough to recognize a trap before walking into it." The alien response was immediate and filled with anger. How dare these primitive humans threaten the mighty Vorthak Confederation? They would learn the price of defying superior beings. But something strange was happening aboard the alien ships. The constant broadcasts of human military history were having an unexpected effect. Young alien crew members were starting to ask questions. How had humans survived so many impossible battles? Why did human soldiers keep fighting even when they knew they would die? Some of the older alien veterans were beginning to feel uneasy. They had conquered many species, but none of those species had responded to threats by broadcasting their most successful battles against superior enemies. None had transformed their entire society into a weapon while remaining calm and organized. As the deadline approached, Captain Kim gathered his staff for final preparations. "Remember," he told them, "we're not just fighting for New Busan. We're fighting to establish humanity's reputation in this galaxy. Every alien species will judge us based on what happens in the next few days." Dr. Park nodded. "The psychological warfare is working. Their communications show increasing nervousness among their crews. They're starting to wonder why we seem so confident." "Good," Kim replied. "Let them wonder. Tomorrow they'll learn why humans smile before battles that should terrify them." Outside the command center, the alien ships waited in perfect formation, confident in their overwhelming advantage. Inside the colony, humans made final preparations for a battle that would teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. The stage was set for a confrontation between alien logic and human legend. The third day began with something the Vorthak had never experienced in their conquest campaigns. Instead of desperate pleas for mercy or frantic evacuation attempts, the humans were broadcasting music. War songs from Earth's history filled the communication channels, accompanied by readings from ancient military manuals and tactical discussions about famous battles. Commander Jae-sung-yoon arrived with the dawn, leading a small fleet of ships that had seemed like civilian transports until they dropped their disguises. His special forces teams immediately began coordinating with the colonial defense units, bringing equipment and expertise that made the aliens' intelligence report suddenly worthless. "Status report," Yoon requested as he entered Captain Kim's command center. "The aliens are confused," Dr. Park reported with satisfaction. "Their crews are listening to our broadcasts and asking their commanders questions they can't answer. Why do humans study battles they lost? Why do they honor soldiers who died fighting impossible odds? Why do they seem happy about facing superior enemies?" Lieutenant Lee looked up from his station. "Sir, we're receiving encrypted messages from human settlements throughout this sector. They're all implementing similar protocols. Word is spreading that we're making our stand here." Kim nodded. This was exactly what Earth's military planners had hoped for. New Busan wasn't just one colony defending itself. It was humanity's demonstration to the galaxy of what happened when someone threatened human civilians. Captain Min-ah Song brought her naval tactical team into the planning session. Her expertise in space combat would be crucial in the coming battle. The aliens have 47 ships, but they're arranged in a standard conquest formation, she explained. They expect to overwhelm us with superior numbers and technology, then land troops to occupy the colony. What they don't expect, added Commander Yoon, is that we're not trying to win a conventional battle. We're trying to teach them a lesson they'll never forget. Sergeant Choi had spent the night organizing the civilian population into defensive positions that looked chaotic to alien observers but followed principles learned from Earth's greatest military campaigns. Farmers became snipers. Miners became tunnel fighters. Shop owners became logistics specialists. The colonists are ready, she reported. Every family understands their role. If the aliens manage to land troops, they'll find themselves fighting not just our military, but an entire population that refuses to be conquered. Private Dongwoo Nam was putting finishing touches on his demolition work throughout the colony. What looked like standard infrastructure. Improvements were actually preparations for urban warfare that would turn every building into a potential fortress or trap. The aliens scan our preparations and see primitive fortifications, Nam explained to his team. They don't understand that we're not trying to keep them out. We're trying to get them to come in where we can control the fighting. Dr. Park continued her psychological warfare campaign, now broadcasting detailed analyses of why humans fought differently than other species. She explained that humans had evolved as persistence hunters, creatures that won through determination rather than speed or strength. She shared recordings of human soldiers explaining why they never surrendered, even when facing certain death. The alien crews are becoming agitated, she reported. They're used to enemies who become more frightened as battle approaches. Our confidence is making them nervous. The aliens sent another surrender demand, this time including detailed descriptions of what would happen to the human colonists if they continued to resist. They threatened slavery, torture, and the complete destruction of human civilization in this sector. Captain Kim's response was broadcast on all frequencies. Thank you for explaining your intentions so clearly. Now we know exactly why we need to stop you here. Every human in the galaxy will understand what's at stake. What the aliens didn't realize was that their threats had just guaranteed that no human would ever surrender to them. They had made the conflict personal in a way their psychology couldn't comprehend. Humans could accept honorable defeat, but they could never accept the destruction of their families. Lieutenant Lee intercepted alien communications, showing growing confusion among their crews. Sir, they're trying to understand our tactical preparations. Their computers can't predict our likely actions because we're not following standard defensive patterns. Good, Kim replied. We're not planning a standard defense. We're planning to turn this entire system into a demonstration of why threatening humans is a mistake. Commander Yoon was coordinating with special forces teams hidden throughout the asteroid belt surrounding New Busan. These teams had been in position for months, waiting for exactly this scenario. Their ships looked like civilian mining equipment, but they carried weapons capable of surprising even advanced alien technology. The trap is ready, Yoon reported. When the aliens attack, they'll think they're facing a desperate colonial defense. They won't realize they're walking into a carefully planned demonstration of human warfare. Captain Song had been analyzing the alien fleet composition and found something interesting. Their formation is perfect for intimidation, she observed, but it has tactical weaknesses. They're so confident in their superiority that they haven't prepared for an enemy that might actually fight back effectively. The hours passed with both sides making final preparations. The aliens maintained their perfect formations, confident that their overwhelming technological advantage would ensure quick victory. Their crews shared jokes about primitive humans and discussed how to divide the conquest spoils. The humans worked with focused intensity, transforming their entire colony into a weapon system that operated on principles the aliens couldn't understand. Every preparation was designed not just to inflict damage, but to send a message that would spread throughout the galaxy. Dr. Park made her final psychological warfare broadcast of the day. Instead of military history, she shared something more personal. Recordings of human parents explaining to their children why some battles had to be fought, regardless of the odds. She included messages from colonists explaining why they chose to stay and fight instead of evacuating. Let the aliens hear human voices, she explained to her team. Let them understand that they're not fighting military units or government policies. They're fighting human families protecting their homes. The alien response to these broadcasts showed increasing agitation. Their crews were asking uncomfortable questions about why humans seemed more determined as the situation became more hopeless. Some alien veterans were beginning to remember stories about other species that had fought desperately against conquest, but none had ever seemed confident about their chances. As night fell on New Busan, the colony was ready for battle. Every civilian knew their role. Every weapon was positioned for maximum effect. Every trap was set and waiting. The humans had spent 3 days transforming themselves from apparent victims into something the aliens had never encountered before, an entire population that refused to be conquered. Captain Kim stood in his command center, surrounded by officers who represented the best of human military tradition. Commander Yoon brought special operations expertise. Captain Song provided naval tactical knowledge. Sergeant Choi offered ground combat experience. Dr. Park contributed psychological warfare skills. Lieutenant Lee added communication and intelligence capabilities. Together, they represented everything that had made humans successful throughout their violent history: adaptability, creativity, determination, and the absolute refusal to accept defeat when defending their families. Final status report. Kim requested. All systems ready. Song reported. Ground defenses prepared. Choi confirmed. Psychological operations complete, Park added. Special forces in position, Yoon stated. Communications monitoring active. Lee concluded. Kim nodded and activated the colony-wide communication system. Citizens of New Busan, he announced, in a few hours we'll face the test our species has been preparing for since we first left Earth. Remember that we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting to establish humanity's reputation among the stars. Show them what humans do when someone threatens our families. Outside, the alien fleet waited in perfect formation, confident in their overwhelming superiority. Inside the colony, humans made final preparations for a battle that would become legend. The education of the Vorthak Confederation was about to begin. The attack began exactly 72 hours after the aliens' first demand, just as their tactical manuals prescribed. High Strategos Velthara ordered her fleet forward in perfect formation, expecting the humans to break immediately when faced with overwhelming firepower. Instead, something happened that her computers had never predicted. The humans attacked first, Lieutenant Wu Jin. Lee led a squadron of ships that had looked like civilian mining vessels until they dropped their disguises and revealed military-grade weapons and armor. His formation charged directly at the alien fleet's center, apparently in a suicidal frontal assault that made no tactical sense. Foolish primitives, Velthara muttered, watching the human ships approach certain destruction. Her tactical officers prepared to record the humans' quick defeat for later study. Then Lee's ships disappeared into the asteroid belt surrounding New Busan, using the rocky debris as cover in ways the alien sensors couldn't track. The formation split into smaller groups that moved through the asteroids like they had been practicing these maneuvers for years. Where did they go? Demanded the alien tactical officer, staring at sensor readings that showed nothing where 12 human ships should have been. Impossible, Velthara replied. Our sensors can penetrate any known stealth technology. The first lesson began when Lee's ships emerged from the asteroid field in perfect coordination, striking the alien fleet's flanks with precision attacks that targeted specific system weaknesses. The humans had studied captured alien technology and knew exactly where to hit for maximum damage. 3 alien destroyers exploded before they could return fire. The remaining human ships vanished back into the asteroids before the alien weapons could lock onto them. In 30 seconds, the humans had demonstrated tactics that violated every principle of civilized warfare the aliens understood. Report, Velthara shouted. Unknown attack pattern, her tactical officer replied nervously. Our computers have no reference for these maneuvers. The humans are using the asteroid field like they're dancing with it. On New Busan's surface, Sergeant Bora Choi was implementing the ground defense plan that had been carefully prepared over 3 years. The colony's tunnels, originally built for mining operations, had been expanded into a defensive network that connected every major building and strategic position. When alien troops landed, they found themselves fighting an enemy that appeared everywhere and nowhere. Human defenders would emerge from hidden positions, strike with devastating effectiveness, then vanish underground before the aliens could respond. This is impossible, the alien ground commander reported to his ship. Our sensors show no major human forces. but were taking casualties from coordinated attacks that require large numbers of troops. What the aliens didn't understand was that they were fighting an entire population that had been organized for defense. Every colonist had a role. Every building was connected to the tunnel system. Every position had been prepared for exactly this type of battle. Choi led her Marine units in attacks that followed principles learned from Earth's greatest guerrilla warfare campaigns. They struck where the aliens were weakest, vanished before counterattacks could be organized, and always maintained the initiative by choosing when and where to fight. Status report. Captain Kim requested from his command center. Ground forces are performing as expected. Choi replied through her communication link. The aliens are becoming frustrated and making mistakes. They expected to fight a conventional defensive battle, not a population that treats urban warfare like an art form. Commander Jae Sung-yoon was coordinating the special operations attacks from hidden positions throughout the system. His teams had been waiting for months, disguised as civilian operations, studying alien patterns and preparing for exactly this moment. Phase 2 initiating, Yoon reported as his ships emerged from concealment near the alien fleet's rear formations. These weren't mining vessels or cargo haulers anymore. They were predators that had been hunting alien movements for years. The Special Forces attack caught the aliens completely unprepared. Ships that should have been safely positioned in support roles found themselves under assault from directions their tactical computers said were impossible. The humans struck with surgical precision, targeting command ships and supply vessels that the alien formation depended upon. Our rear guard is under attack, an alien captain reported. Unknown number of human ships using impossible approach vectors. Captain Min Ah-song was coordinating the naval battle from her position on New Busan, using sensor data and communication intercepts to direct human forces throughout the engagement. Her tactical expertise turned individual ship actions into a coordinated campaign that confused and overwhelmed alien responses. The aliens are trying to maintain formation discipline, she reported to Kim, but our attacks are coming from too many directions. Their commanders can't adapt fast enough to coordinate effective responses. Song had studied alien tactical doctrine extensively and understood that their greatest strength was also their greatest weakness. The Vorthak relied on overwhelming superiority and perfect coordination. When faced with enemies that refused to fight conventionally, their rigid tactical systems became liabilities. Dr. Hyejin Park was monitoring alien communications and psychological responses to the battle. Their crews are showing increasing stress indicators, she reported. They're not prepared for enemies that seem to enjoy fighting against impossible odds. The aliens had conquered 17 different species, but none of those species had ever responded to overwhelming force with obvious pleasure. Human communications were filled with references to historical battles, tactical discussions, and what sounded like genuine excitement about facing superior enemies. They're starting to wonder if they made a mistake, Park observed. Some crews are questioning why humans seem more confident as the battle intensifies. Private Dongwoo Nam was implementing the demolition aspects of the defense plan, turning the colony's infrastructure into weapons that activated when alien troops moved through specific areas. Buildings that looked damaged were actually carefully prepared traps that would collapse on advancing enemies. The aliens are learning to fear our buildings, Nam reported with satisfaction. Every structure they try to secure becomes a potential weapon. They're having to clear each position multiple times because our tunnels let us reoccupy areas they thought were conquered. The psychological impact of fighting an enemy that refused to stay defeated was beginning to affect alien morale throughout their fleet. They had expected quick victory followed by occupation duties. Instead, they found themselves in a battle that grew more difficult as it continued. Lieutenant Lee's space forces had regrouped and were conducting their second major attack of the day. This time they emerged from the asteroid field in formation that recreated famous naval battles from Earth's history, adapted for three-dimensional space combat. The human ships are moving in impossible coordination, the alien fleet commander reported. They're executing maneuvers that our computers say require telepathic communication, but humans have no such capability. What the aliens couldn't understand was that human crews had trained together for years, developing communication and coordination skills that went beyond their technology. They fought as unified teams that could adapt to changing situations faster than alien tactical computers could calculate responses. By the end of the first day of battle, The alien fleet had lost 12 ships and hundreds of ground troops, while achieving none of their tactical objectives. The human colony remained firmly in human control, defended by forces that seemed to grow stronger as the battle continued. Impossible, High Strategos Velthara muttered, studying battle reports that made no sense according to established tactical doctrine. Primitive humans cannot defeat advanced Vorthak forces, but the evidence was undeniable. The humans were not only fighting effectively, they were winning. More importantly, they were doing it with obvious enjoyment that made alien crews increasingly nervous about continuing the battle. Prepare for tomorrow's assault, Velthara ordered, but her confidence was shaken. The humans had demonstrated capabilities that their intelligence reports said they didn't possess, using tactics that violated everything the Vorthak understood about civilized warfare. On New Busan, Captain Kim reviewed the day's results with satisfaction. Excellent work, everyone. The aliens are beginning to understand that they're not fighting a desperate defense. They're fighting a demonstration of why threatening human families is a mistake. The first day of battle was complete, and the aliens were starting to learn their first lesson about human legends. Tomorrow would teach them even more. High Strategos Velthara stared at the battle reports from the previous day, trying to understand how her overwhelming force had failed to achieve any meaningful victories against primitive humans. Her tactical computers offered no explanations for human capabilities that exceeded all known parameters. Status of our forces? She demanded. 12 ships destroyed, 37 damaged, over 300 ground troops casualties. Her aide reported nervously. Human losses appear minimal, but exact numbers are unknown because they keep reusing the same positions. Velthara had conquered worlds with less effort than she had spent trying to take one human colony. The humans seemed to treat warfare as some kind of elaborate game, following rules that made no sense to civilized species. Today we end this embarrassment, she declared. Commit the entire fleet. I want overwhelming force applied to every human position simultaneously. What High Strategos Velthara didn't understand was that the first day of battle had been humanity testing alien capabilities. The real demonstration was about to begin. Captain Daeho Kim assembled his command staff for the day's operations briefing. Intelligence reports indicate the aliens are committing their full force today. They're frustrated and making emotional decisions instead of tactical ones. Dr. Hee-jin Park nodded. Psychological analysis confirms increasing stress throughout their fleet. They're no longer confident in quick victory, but they can't understand why. This makes them dangerous but predictable. Perfect, Commander Jae Sung-yoon replied. Angry enemies make mistakes. Today we show them what happens when humans stop playing defensive. Kim activated the colony-wide communication system. Citizens of New Busan, today the galaxy learns what human determination looks like. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're establishing the reputation that will protect every human settlement among the stars. The day's battle began when Kim ordered something the aliens had never expected. A full human offensive. Every ship, every weapon, every prepared position activated simultaneously in coordinated attacks that struck the alien fleet from directions their sensors said were impossible. Lieutenant Wu Jin, Lee led the space assault with tactics that recreated the most famous naval battles in human history. His ships moved through the asteroid field like they were dancing, emerging in perfect formation to strike alien weak points with surgical precision. Impossible maneuvers detected, the alien tactical officer reported to Velthara. The human ships are operating beyond the performance parameters of their technology. What the aliens couldn't comprehend was that human crews were pushing their equipment far beyond safe operational limits, accepting risks that no sensible species would consider. They flew damaged ships, used overloaded weapons, and executed maneuvers that had significant chances of failure. But humans had learned throughout their history that sometimes the only way to win was to attempt things that rational enemies would consider impossible. Lee's pilots flew like they were immortal while planning like they expected to die, a combination that created capabilities no alien tactical computer could predict. Sergeant Bo-ra Choi revealed the true nature of New Busan's ground defenses by launching simultaneous attacks from every tunnel, building, and hidden position in the colony. What had seemed like scattered resistance became a coordinated offensive that struck alien forces throughout their occupied areas. The humans are everywhere, the alien ground commander reported in panic. Every building contains hostile forces. Every position we secure gets retaken by enemies who appear from nowhere. The aliens had studied human defensive tactics and prepared for conventional siege warfare. They hadn't prepared for an entire population that treated urban combat like a natural environment, using buildings and tunnels as weapons in ways their training had never addressed. Choi's Marines led colonists in attacks that followed principles learned from Earth's greatest military campaigns. Adapted for three-dimensional urban warfare, they struck from above and below, from inside and outside, using the colony's infrastructure as both weapon and shield. Captain Minna Song coordinated naval operations that turned individual ship actions into fleet maneuvers that confused and overwhelmed alien responses. Her tactical coordination allowed human forces to achieve local superiority despite being outnumbered overall. The alien formation is breaking apart, Song reported. Their commanders can't maintain coordination when under attack from multiple directions simultaneously. They're reverting to individual ship actions, which plays to our advantages. Song had studied every human naval victory throughout history and understood that superior numbers meant nothing if they couldn't be coordinated effectively. Her tactics forced the aliens to fight as individual units instead of as an organized fleet. Commander Yoon launched the Special Operations phase that revealed hidden human capabilities throughout the star system. Ships that had appeared to be civilian traffic suddenly dropped their disguises and revealed military equipment that exceeded alien intelligence. Estimates. Unknown human forces detected throughout the system. Alien sensors reported. Previous estimates of human military capability appear to have been incorrect. Yoon's special forces had been positioned for months, studying alien patterns and preparing for exactly this battle. They struck supply lines, communication relays, and command ships with precision that demonstrated intimate knowledge of alien operations, but the most devastating revelation was yet to come. Dr. Park activated hidden weapon systems that had been built into New Busan's infrastructure over 3 years of careful preparation. Mining equipment revealed itself as artillery. Communication arrays became targeting systems. The entire colony was a weapon that had been waiting for this moment. The colony itself is attacking us, an alien captain reported in confusion. Defensive positions that should be passive are launching offensive operations. What the aliens had thought was a mining colony was actually a fortress designed by Earth's best military engineers, disguised as civilian infrastructure to avoid detection. Every building had dual purposes. Every system could become a weapon when needed. Private Dongwoo Nam led demolition teams that turned alien victories into disasters. Every position the aliens captured became a trap. Every building they occupied became a weapon aimed at their own forces. The colony's infrastructure fought back with explosive enthusiasm. The humans are insane, alien troops reported. They've turned their own buildings into weapons against us. Every advance costs us more than we gain. The psychological impact on alien forces was devastating. They had expected to fight desperate defenders. Instead, they found themselves battling an enemy that seemed to enjoy combat, that planned defeats as carefully as victories, and that treated impossible odds as entertainment. Dr. Park monitored alien communications and reported increasing panic throughout their fleet. They're using words we've never heard in their military communications before. They're describing human tactics as nightmarish and impossible. The turning point came when Lieutenant Lee's Space Forces executed a maneuver that recreated Admiral Yi Sun-sin's victory at Myeongyang, adapted for three-dimensional space combat. His ships drew the alien fleet into a formation where their superior numbers became a disadvantage, using the asteroid field's gravitational effects and prepared charges that Private Nam's teams had placed months earlier. Lee's forces triggered an artificial asteroid collision that destroyed 6 alien ships and scattered their formation beyond recovery. How did they predict our movements? Velthara demanded, watching her carefully planned assault dissolve into chaos. Unknown, her tactical officer replied. The humans appear to have prepared for this exact battle scenario months in advance. By the end of the second day, the alien fleet had lost over half its ships and most of its ground forces, while achieving none of their strategic objectives. More importantly, they had learned that fighting humans was unlike fighting any other species they had encountered. Prepare to withdraw, Velthara ordered, her confidence completely shattered. Withdraw? Her aide asked in shock. The Vorthak Confederation has never withdrawn from conquest operations. The Vorthak Confederation has never fought humans before, Velthara replied grimly. These aren't primitive savages. These are predators who have been pretending to be harmless. But Captain Kim wasn't finished with their education. As the alien fleet prepared to retreat, he activated the final phase of humanity's demonstration. The real lesson was just beginning. Open communication channels to the alien fleet, Kim ordered. It's time they understood what they've really been fighting. Captain Daeho Kim's voice carried across all communication frequencies as the shattered alien fleet prepared to retreat. His words would be recorded, studied, and feared throughout the galaxy for generations to come. Hi Strategos Velthara, this is Captain Kim of New Busan Colony. Before you leave, there are some things you need to understand about what just happened here. On the alien flagship, Velthara listened with growing dread as Kim began explaining the battle from the human perspective. What she had thought was desperate defense had actually been a carefully planned demonstration, designed to teach the galaxy a lesson about threatening human civilians. You studied our military history and decided we were primitive, fighters who won through luck, Kim continued. You saw chaos where we saw creativity. You saw individual heroics where we saw coordinated team efforts. You made the mistake of thinking that because our methods seemed chaotic, they were also ineffective. Dr. Hai-Jin Park provided the psychological analysis that would haunt alien strategic planners for decades. The Vorthak Confederation has conquered 17 species using overwhelming force and superior technology. But you've never fought a species that evolved as persistence hunters, creatures that won through determination rather than strength. Park's explanation revealed the fundamental misunderstanding that had led to the aliens' defeat. You expected us to become more frightened as our situation became more hopeless. Instead, we became more determined. You expected us to surrender when faced with impossible odds. Instead, we saw an opportunity to prove ourselves worthy of our legends. Lieutenant Wu Jin Lee added his perspective from the space battle. You brought 47 ships against our 12, thinking numbers would guarantee victory. You didn't understand that we weren't trying to win a space battle. We were trying to demonstrate human space combat doctrine to every alien intelligence service that monitored this engagement. Lee's explanation revealed the true scope of human planning. Every maneuver we executed, every tactic we employed, every adaptation we made has been recorded and transmitted throughout the galaxy. By tomorrow, every alien military will know exactly how humans fight when someone threatens our families. Commander Jae Sung-yoon provided the strategic analysis that made alien military planners reconsider every assumption about human capabilities. The Vorthak studied our technology and found it inferior. You analyzed our industrial capacity and found it limited. What you didn't understand was that human military effectiveness has never been about having the best equipment. Yoon's words carried the weight of human military tradition. We win because we adapt faster than our enemies can plan. We win because we accept risks that rational species avoid. We win because we treat impossible odds as opportunities to demonstrate why human legends exist. Sergeant Bora Choi explained the ground combat aspects that had confused alien forces throughout the battle. You expected to fight military units organized like your own forces. Instead, you fought an entire population that had been organized for defense. Every civilian you encountered was a potential combatant. Every building you tried to secure was a potential weapon. Choi's analysis revealed the depth of human defensive planning. New Busan wasn't just a colony with military defenses. It was a military fortress disguised as a civilian settlement, designed specifically to demonstrate human urban combat capabilities to any species that threatened our people. Captain Minna Song provided the naval tactical analysis that would revolutionize alien understanding of space combat. Your fleet formations were perfect for intimidation and overwhelming firepower, but they were vulnerable to enemies willing to sacrifice individual units for strategic advantage. Song's explanation demonstrated human tactical philosophy. We don't fight to preserve our equipment. We fight to achieve our objectives. When you're willing to lose every ship to accomplish your mission, you can execute maneuvers that equipment-focused enemies can't predict or counter. Private Dongwu Nam added the engineering perspective that showed how deeply humans had prepared for this confrontation. Every explosive device you encountered, every trap that caught your forces, every building that fought back against your occupation had been prepared for 3 years. We've been expecting this battle since we first established the colony. Nam's words revealed the true nature of human colonial development. Every human settlement in this sector has been designed with defense in mind. Every colonist understands that they might need to hold the line against superior forces. Every piece of infrastructure has dual purposes that enemies can't detect until it's too late, Dr. Park concluded the psychological analysis with words that would echo through alien strategic planning for generations. The most important thing you need to understand is that this battle wasn't about New Busan. It was about establishing humanity's reputation among the stars. Her explanation revealed the broader implications of the aliens' defeat. Every species in the galaxy will study this battle. Every government will analyze human capabilities. Every military will revise their estimates of what humans can accomplish when defending their families. Kim provided the final message that would define human-alien relations for decades to come. The Vorthak Confederation made the mistake of threatening human civilians. You thought we would surrender rather than fight impossible odds. Instead, you gave us the opportunity to demonstrate why human legends exist. His words carried both warning and opportunity. We're willing to be peaceful neighbors with any species that respects our rights. We're happy to trade, cooperate, and share the galaxy with civilized governments. But any species that mistakes human kindness for human weakness will learn the difference the hard way. The alien fleet withdrew in defeat, carrying with them reports that would transform galactic politics. Within weeks, every major alien government received detailed analyses of the Battle of New Busan, along with recommendations to avoid any actions that might provoke similar demonstrations. Human mercenaries became the most sought-after warriors in the galaxy. Human tactical manuals were translated into dozens of alien languages. Human military advisors found employment training alien forces in combat doctrines that emphasized adaptability over technology. But most importantly, human colonies throughout the galaxy found themselves protected not by weapons or treaties, but by reputation. The story of New Busan spread through every alien civilization, carried by survivors who had learned to fear human legends. Captain Kim was promoted to admiral and tasked with establishing humanity's first interstellar military doctrine. Lieutenant Lee became the youngest squadron commander in human history, his tactics studied in military academies throughout known space. Sergeant Choi founded the Human Military Advisory Corps, training alien forces in combat methods they had never imagined. Dr. Park became humanity's first xenopsychological warfare specialist, developing protocols for managing human-alien conflicts before they escalated to violence. Commander Yoon established the Special Operations Command that would coordinate human military actions throughout the galaxy. 1 year after the Battle of New Busan, Captain Song stood on the observation deck of a new human colony, watching alien ships maintain respectful distances as they monitored human activities. The aliens weren't there as threats but as students, learning from the species that had redefined warfare among the stars. Status report, Song requested from her communications officer. All alien governments in this sector have established diplomatic protocols with human authorities, the officer replied. No hostile actions reported anywhere in human space. Several requests for military cooperation agreements. Song smiled as she watched alien observation posts maintaining professional distances from the new colony. The Battle of New Busan had achieved its objective perfectly. Humanity had established its reputation through action rather than threats, demonstration rather than intimidation. The galaxy had learned to fear human legends, but more importantly, it had learned to respect them. And in that respect, humanity found the peace that came not from being harmless, but from being too dangerous to threaten. The story of New Busan became the foundation of human interstellar relations. Be kind to your neighbors, protective of your family, and absolutely terrifying to anyone who confused the two concepts. When alien children misbehaved, their parents whispered warnings about the humans, the species that turned every battle into a legend, and every legend into a lesson that the galaxy would never forget.